monster!
All upon us.
Easier to draw blood than staunch it.
From nothing.
Oh!
Double time and double pay!
Back, monster! I see.
Unleash hell!
Hide behind your servants. I will still find you. I yield for now.
This is going to give you negative 2i times sine k pi over 5, which is going to bring us to the square root of 5 minus 2 root 5 value, and this is going to be the 2 cosine k pi over 5. And if you simplify this a little bit more, so z is going to turn out to be negative I times tangent of k pi over 5, where k values, or I should say n values are just going to be, I wrote k there too. That should be an n too, and n pi over 5, n pi over 5, and now this is going to be general solutions. And you can put a little n here if you want, z sub n, and n can be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you next time with another video. Until then, be safe, take care, and bye-bye.
Why do we have uppercase and lowercase letters in English? Most of you are probably thinking that the answer is obvious. You learned the uses of the
seems so long. With you I see forever oh so clearly. I might have been in love before, but it never felt this strong. Our dreams are young and we both know they'll take us where we want to go. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you.
My brothers, it has begun.
The road is not so easy. I love to lead the way for us.
My brothers,
More gold is required. Job's done. Job's done for you. If you should need me, you don't have to change. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Just the way you are. So come with me and share the view. I'll help you see forever too. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. I wanna change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You already know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You already know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you.
enlighten me. Out with it. It has begun. I am prepared for my brothers. Enlighten me. My bidding. That's a given. It has begun.
Job's done.
Enlighten me. That's a given.
Job's done.
My bidding.
I stand ready. I stand ready.
prepared.
Research complete.
Job done.
No one shall be the wiser. Out with it. I am prepared. It has begun. My bidding.
All goals required. Research. All goals required. All goals required. All goals required. All goals required.
Research complete.
Enlighten me. I bid you. I am prepared. My bidding. I am prepared.
Upgrade complete.
For my brothers, it has begun.
Job's done.
Out
Job's
with it.
done. Job's done. Job's done.
Enlighten me. Enlighten me. For my brothers. No one shall be the wiser. It has begun.
Job's done. Job's done. Job's
My
done.
bidding.
Job's done.
That's a
Upgrade complete.
No one shall be the wiser.
Job's done.
brothers.
Job's done.
That's a given.
Job's done. Job's done.
Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete.
All my brothers. That's a given.
More gold is required. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done.
Out with it.
Build more farms.
Enlighten me.
Upgrade complete. More gold is
I
required.
bid you.
Upgrade
For my
complete.
brothers. No one shall be the worse. Enlighten me.
More gold is required.
I am prepared. I bid you, my brothers. Out with it. I am prepared. Out with it. For my brothers. That's a given.
Upgrade complete.
Enlighten me. No one shall be the worse.
Upgrade complete.
bidding. For my brothers. No one shall be the wiser. I am prepared. Has been done. That's it.
Job's done. Job's done. Job's done.
Has begun. Out with it. My bidding.
Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete.
I am prepared.
Research complete.
My bidding. Out with it. That's a given. I cannot summon brothers.
Job's done.
I am prepared. That's a given.
Upgrade complete.
Job's done.
My bidding
Upgrade complete.
has begun. For my brothers. No one shall be
Job's
wiser.
done.
For my brothers. It has begun. That's a given. my bidding. I am prepared for my brothers.
Job's done.
It has begun.
Job's done.
For my brothers. It has
Job's
begun.
done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done.
That's a given. No one shall be the wiser.
Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done.
Someone call for the doctor?
Brothers, I am prepared. That's a given. No one shall be the wiser.
Job's done.
Begun.
Job's done.
That's a given.
Job's done. Job's done.
Research complete.
Enlighten me.
Upgrade complete.
For my brothers, no one shall be the
Job's
wiser.
done.
Research complete.
is in like first grade, right? Lowercase letters are used to start sentences and are used at the start of names and proper nouns. Lowercase letters are used for everything else. Okay, sure, we all know how grammatic verbs are used at the start of names and proper nouns. Lowercase letters are used for everything else. Okay, sure, we all know how grammatically the two cases are used in English. But did you know that not all writing systems have upper and lower cases? Or that even other languages that use the Latin alphabet have different rules for capitalization? For instance, German capitalizes the first letters of all nouns, whether proper or improper? Is that what you call normal nouns? Right, so back to the question. Why do we use two cases? Well, let's find out. Originally, the Latin alphabet was a majuscule script, which is a fancy way of saying that it had no lowercase letters. These letters are now called Roman square capitals because of their blocky nature. They're basically the capital letters we know today. These square capitals were not the only way Latin was written, however. These blocky letters, with their straight lines and basic curves, worked best when carved into stone. When Romans wrote on paper, or papyrus or whatever, they used Roman cursive. This script is more rounded, as it was faster to write when writing with a quill, as opposed to a hammer and chisel. As you can see, some of our lowercase letters are starting to show themselves. But this is only the beginning of the story. The cursive letters weren't used in tandem with the capitals, and they weren't consistent either. Roman cursive inspired the later lowercase script, but the alphabet had a lot of evolving to do before we get to the two-case system we know today. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, spoken Latin gave way to various Romance languages in the old Roman territories. That said, written Latin was still very much used, and would continue to be the preferred language of writing for hundreds of years. But Latin had no case system, so the scripts that were created in the Middle Ages to write Latin had no concept of lower or uppercase writing. We won't go through a comprehensive history of Latin script types, because the subject is vast, and would be way too long. I mean, look at this chart showing a simplified relationship between the different scripts through to the modern day. We'll only tackle a few of these, the ones that have the most bearing on answering our question. The first script we'll look at is the uncial script. It was used throughout Europe in the 4th century through to the 8th century. It was a majuscule script, but since it was written on parchment or vellum, it used curves, much like Roman cursive. With this script, you can start to really see the evolution from the Roman capitals to our lowercase letters. The letters A, D, H, M, and E are all in the middle of transforming. The uncial script and its derivations were extremely popular with scribes throughout Europe. Famous manuscripts like the Book of Kells were written using the script. The most important version of the uncial script, as it pertains to answering the question posed in this video, was the semi, or half uncial. Despite its name, this script was not an evolution of the uncial script, but instead shared a common ancestor to the uncial script, that being New Roman cursive. Half uncial was the first major minuscule script. So, we should properly define the terms majuscule and minuscule. They don't just mean uppercase and lowercase. Majuscule letters are defined by being of a uniform height. For instance, a capital A is the same as a B or C and so on. Minuscule letters, however, have variable heights. The lowercase q or p has a descender here, and an h has an ascender here, while letters like e or a have no such protrusions. Okay, cool. So with the half uncials, we almost have our lowercase script. But there's an issue here. You see, half uncial was its own script. It wasn't used in tandem with capital letters. No scripts at this point were bicameral, meaning using two cases. That was until Carolingian minuscule. The Carolingian script is thought to have been created, or at least finalized, by Alcuin of York, an English monk and scribe who was invited to teach at the court of Charlemagne, hence the name Carolingian. It was used during the 8th and 9th centuries in France, during the period known as the Carolingian Renaissance. That's right, there were renaissances before the Renaissance that we all know. Anyway, during this time, scribes in the court of Charlemagne and his successors copied a lot of Roman documents that were fading or falling apart to preserve the texts. This point will become important later. So the Carolingians used both this new minuscule script and also capitals reminiscent of the old uncial letters. They used these capitals for titles as well as for important words. The practice of using large decorative letters to start a page or sentence had become a common practice when making manuscripts. For instance, here's an example of that in the Book of Dura. The Carolingians were the first known to take this decorative practice and turn it into something systematized, with more or less consistent rules. Skipping forward about 700 years, we come to the Renaissance humanists. The humanists were a group of secular thinkers who rejected what they saw as a superstitious, backwards medieval world. Why do we call the medieval period the Dark Ages? Blame the humanists. They were interested in a revival of Roman ideals, in art, architecture, literature, and yes, even in typography. They weren't fans of the dominant script of the time, blackletter. This script, sometimes incorrectly called Gothic, is probably what you think of when imagining medieval writing. It took over from the Carolingian script and was used for hundreds of years throughout Europe. It was even used in places like Germany and Denmark into the 19th century. Blackletter is a very important part of the history of Western typography, but since it doesn't directly contribute to the question posed in this video, we'll skip its origins. The point is, the humanists wanted something different, so they went searching. And what did they find? What's this? Wow, original Roman manuscripts, they said. Look at how elegant and classic this lettering is. Surely much more sophisticated than this medieval Gothic hand. Of course, the humanists didn't realize that what they had found was not actually Roman writing, but instead copies of Roman manuscripts made by the Carolingian monks in the Carolingian script. Regardless, the humanists created their own minuscule, inspired by the very medieval Carolingian script, and combined it with Romanesque square capitals, replacing the ornate Gothic capitals used before. This style of writing is essentially what is used today. So there you go, from Roman capitals through uncials, Carolingian, and finally humanist scripts, we get our two-case way of writing. A couple more things before we wrap up. 1. Printing. In the 15th century, Johannes Gutenberg created the first printing press, which sparked the printing revolution. The printing press worked through movable type. There were 2 pieces of type for each letter. The minuscule letters were kept in a drawer closer to the printer, as these sorts were used more frequently. The capital letters were kept in a case above the main working station. So the terms lowercase for minuscules and uppercase for capitals were established. Lastly, while bicameral writing had been used since the Carolingian period, as we established, actual formalized rules in English didn't exist for centuries, with capitalization being quite haphazard. For instance, in documents like the US Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, you see seemingly random words capitalized. Capitalization in this time was used basically to add emphasis, but in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, grammarians, not amused by this disorderly use of uppercase letters, created manuals defining when capitalization should be used, rules that we basically follow today. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and even share the video if you want. Bye!
Hi, I'm Toby and welcome back to another video. Today I'd like to show you through the school and university grades of the inventor Nikola Tesla. Now Tesla, maybe more than any other scientist, is regarded as being a true genius. He had over 300 patents in his name, and these are responsible for much of the technology in our world today. He was behind the use of alternating currents which power our world, but he was also behind things like radio, X-rays, wireless communication, and he had dreams of providing the world with wireless power. Now the story of his grades shows that he started off really well in his studies, but by his third year of university, he had dropped out. Now Tesla's life seems to have a bit of a trend of unfortunate circumstances getting in the way of genius, and his studies are no different. So although he never actually graduated, his time as a student did lay the groundwork for his knowledge and ideas in physics and engineering. So let's have a look at what he did. The first set of documents that I have here are from Tesla's time at school. Now when Tesla was 14, he moved north of his hometown to attend the Realschule in Rakovac. He was here for 3 years, from 1870 to 1873, and it's where he developed a special interest in physics. Now this first document here is part of his matriculation certificate. That's like his graduation from the school. An interesting note about it is that this is actually a duplicate because his original document was stolen from him on the day that he was due to depart for America in 1884. I then have his grades from the 3 years at that school, and these are a translated version that I've put into a table, and I got the information from the school website, which I'll put down in the description. We have the subject that he was taking, his grade in the first semester and his grade in the second semester. His overall success from the first year translated to first row and first row with honours, which sounds
cloudy bright. The sun shines fair on Clara, and she would marry you Scottish knight, for love will still be lord of all. Blithely they saw the rising sun, when he shone fair on Clara, but they were sad ere day was done, though love was still the lord of all. Her sire gave brooch and jewel fine, where the sun shines fair on Clara. Our brother gave but a flask of wine, for her ire that love was lord of all. For she had lands both meadow and lea, where the sun shines fair on Clara. For he swore her death ere he would see a Scottish knight.
想要零广告、下载音乐并离线播放及背景播放吗？试试 YouTube Music Premium。
does something that Euler thought was... This is Stephan's polyhedron, and it does something that Euler thought was impossible. I don't know if you've ever played with these sorts of construction pieces before. You can use them to make 3D shapes, and the polyhedrons you end up with have rigid faces, but the edges are hinged. These are kids' toys, but whenever I see something like this, I always think, well, I guess I'm building the platonic solids now. One thing I noticed, especially with the icosahedron, is that they're incredibly wobbly because of these hinges until you get quite close to the end. The whole thing can flex when just 2 of the faces are missing. But if I add 1 face or the 2 final faces, the whole thing becomes rigid. Here's a polyhedron that is rigid but becomes flexible when you remove just 1 of the faces. Euler thought all polyhedrons were rigid, but check this out. See how it flexes like that? It's not a huge amount of movement, but it doesn't have to be to serve the purpose of being a proof by counterexample that not all polyhedrons need to be rigid. Here it is as a net, and interestingly, it's symmetrical down this center line. But actually, it's not properly symmetrical because this line is a valley fold and this line is a mountain fold. A huge thank you to Ivan Miranda, by the way, for designing and printing this thing. It's a really clever design, actually. It uses printer filament for the hinges. Ivan has all sorts of really clever 3D printing ideas. I strongly recommend you check out his excellent channel. The link is in the card and the description. It's a strange thing to hold in your hands, actually. I suppose because over the years I've built up an intuition for polyhedrons that says polyhedrons are rigid. So this is behaving in a way that I just haven't experienced before. I even printed one of the faces with a big hole in it. So if I switch to that one, you can see what's going on inside. It can flex until these 2 faces touch, and you have the same limit in the other direction with the mirror image of those faces on the other side. So that's the full range of movement. Augustin Cauchy proved in 1815 that actually all convex polyhedrons are rigid. So Euler was at least partly right, but what if a polyhedron was concave? What if it had indented bits like this? This is a concave polyhedron, for example, though it's rigid. And for a long time it wasn't known whether a flexible concave polyhedron existed. The first example of a flexible concave polyhedron actually wasn't that satisfying. That's because the faces intersect. Look, it is flexible, but because the faces cross through each other, it can only exist in 4 dimensions. Robert Connolly discovered the first proper flexible polyhedron in 1977. It's this monster with 18 faces. This much simpler version with 14 faces was discovered by Klaus Stephan a year later, and this is the thing that Ivan printed for me. It's still not known whether a simpler flexible polyhedron exists. I wanted to show you a couple of related structures that are interesting. This polyhedron isn't flexible, but it's bistable, and the 2 stable states that it can be in are quite close to each other. And because this exists in the real world where infinitely rigid faces can't exist, we can actually flip between those 2 stable states, which is fun. This is a strange one. It's Jessen's octahedron. It isn't flexible in the same way as Stephan's polyhedron, but it is infinitesimally flexible. What does that mean? Well, if you think about a structure like this one, if this was perfectly rigid, then there would be no movement at all. But in the real world, these bars would be a little bit stretchy, which means that I can pull up on this joint. And if I were to plot the lengthening of this rod against the vertical motion of the joint, it would look like this. You can't move the joint without stretching the bar. But what about a structure like this? How does this bar lengthen as I pull up on this joint? Well, look, the curve flattens out as you approach 0 movement. So at the very beginning, it's possible to move that joint without the bar lengthening at all. But then as soon as the joint does move, the bar will have to lengthen. In other words, the structure is only flexible in the limit of no flex. That kind of sounds like a mathematician's bad sleight of hand. But actually it does make sense intuitively when you think about it in the real world. A structure like this is infinitesimally flexible, but because it exists in the real world, I can actually flex it. And it feels like it takes no force to do so until it has traveled some distance. Whereas with this structure, it feels like I can't move it at all. It's easy to make an infinitesimally flexible joint. You just take a straight rod and you put the joint in the middle of it. The formal way of saying that is if a joint is collinear with two other joints, then it will be infinitesimally flexible. Similarly, in 3 dimensions, a polyhedron will be infinitesimally flexible if one of the vertices is coplanar, but that's kind of obvious and boring, whereas Jessen's polyhedron is able to achieve infinitesimal flexibility without having to resort to coplanar vertices. I've got a bigger one here, and what's interesting is when I squeeze it, I can feel air coming out. And incredibly, that's actually proof that Jessen's polyhedron isn't a true flexible polyhedron in the same sense as Stefan's polyhedron. That's because Connolly proved that the volume of a flexible polyhedron doesn't change as the polyhedron flexes. It's called the bellows conjecture because a polyhedron cannot be used as bellows. By the way, if you replace all the concave edges with rods and all the convex edges with strings, you end up with this tensegrity structure. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I made a whole video about tensegrity structures, link to that in the card and the description. One final thought, when I was playing with the construction pieces, I was looking at how flexible does a polyhedron become when you remove one of the faces. I could only ever create a flex with 1 degree of freedom. Like with the icosahedron with several of the faces removed, I can wobble the structure like this, that's 1 degree of freedom. But I can also independently wobble the structure like this. That's a 2nd degree of freedom. This has 2 degrees of freedom. Does there exist a polyhedron where if you remove just one of the faces, you end up with 2 degrees of
I am honored. For Loderon, I'll do my best. For Loderon, job's done. I'll do my best. Job's done. Job's done. I am honored. Job's done. Job's done. For Loderon. Job's done. Job's done. I'll do my best. I am honored. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. Job's done. I'll do my best. For Loderon.
伯乐一定会懂，雪莉同班的深刻旋律才是灵魂。伯乐一定会懂，波本同班的精炼字句才是经典。
I'll do my best. For Loderon. I am honored. I'll do my best.
我懂了。
I am honored.
在雪莉桶与波本桶中，各自历经100%完整年份。 巅峰收成，以繁复工艺双桶勾兑，才能造就最完美的作品。
How may I say?
Cheers. 越懂得，越值得。
For Loderon. I'll do my best. For Loderon. Job's done. I am honored. Job's done. I'll do my best. Job's done. Job's done. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Loderon. I'll do my best. For Loderon. I'll do my best. I am honored. Job's done. I'll do my best. For Loderon. For Loderon. Job's done. I am honored. Job's done. For Loderon. Job's done. Job's done. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Loderon. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Loderon. Job's done. I'll do my best. For Loderon. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Loderon. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best.
Lively they saw the rising
For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored.
She had lands of meadow and
I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored.
For he swore the death ere he would see a Scottish knight the
For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best.
where the sun shines fair on Clara.
I'll do my best.
So burn true love.
I'll do my best.
That love will still
For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. Job done. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. I am honest. For Lordaeron. I am honest. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am ready. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored. What is your wish? I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored. For Lordaeron. More gold is required. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. How may I say? I'll do my best. I am ready. I am honored. For Lordaeron, I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. What is your will? I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. How may I serve? I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. What is your wish? I am honored. For Lordaeron.
Touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can you know I'll never ask you more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. No one can change my love. You ought to know by now how much I love you. No one can change my love. Nothing's gonna change my love.
I'll do my best. Job's done. I'm ready.
想要连贯到下载音乐并离线播放，才能做到吗？试试优先可以。
I am ready. I'll do my best. Job's done. What is your wish? More gold is required. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. Sprattle. How may I say? I am ready. I'll do my best. my best. How may I serve? For Lordaeron. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. What is your wish? For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored. For Lordaeron.
Let's get moving. Should I mess someone up?
How may I serve?
What's happening?
For Lordaeron. What is your wish? I'll do my best. I will do my best. For Lordaeron. I'm ready. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. Job's done. What is your wish? I am honored. I'll do my best.
Let's get moving. It's hammer time. That's more like it. Let's do this. Job's done. It's hammer time.
For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. What is your wish? How may I serve? What is your wish? I'll do my best.
I'm ready and waiting.
Not enough mana.
You're kinda slow for a human, aren't you? Let's get it on. It's hammer time. Let's get it on.
How may I serve? I am ready.
Job's done.
For Lordaeron. I am honored.
Command me.
What is your wish? How may I serve? I'll do my best. I am honored.
的歌曲，一直听，一直听到天荒地老。试试 YouTube Music Premium， 马上免费试用1个月。
More gold required.
It's hammer time.
Job's done.
Let's get it on. That's more like it. Let's get it on.
What is your wish?
More gold required.
For Lordaeron. I will do my best. Do my best. I hate work. What is your wish? For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. I am ready. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. I'll do my best. What is your wish? For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. What is your wish? I am honored. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I am honored. Job done. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. What is your wish? What is your wish? I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. I'll do my best. I am honored. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. What is your wish? I'll do my best. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. For Lordaeron. I'll do my best.
The light is destroyed. Let's get to it. Let's do this.
What is your wish? I'll do my best.
More gold is required.
I am honored. What is your wish? For Lordaeron. I'll do my best. do my best. What is your wish? For Lordaeron.
Was an English
I
lady
am honored.
bright.
I'll do my best.
Sun shines fair on Clara.Klarerweise. And she would marry
How
him
may I
Scottish.
I'll do my best. What is your wish?
When he shone fair on Clara.Klarerweise, but they were sad, her day was done, though love was still the Lord of all. Her sire gave brooch and jewel fine, where the sun shines fair on Clara.Klarerweise. Her brother gave but a flask of wine for her ire that love was Lord of all. For she had lands both meadow and lea, where the sun shines fair on Clara.Klarerweise. For he swore her death ere he would see a Scottish knight, the Lord of
Know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. All I know by now
Bravo, mesdemoiselles. Camille Thomas, nommée cette année dans la catégorie Révélation soliste instrumentale. Et Béatrice Berru, au piano. Bravo et merci.
你以为擦干净了吗？还是有残留？
就靠舒洁湿式卫生纸，
干擦不。
bright. The sun shines fair on Clara, and she would marry his Scottish knight, for love still would be Lord of all. Blithely they saw the rising sun, when he shone fair on Clara, but they were sad, their day was done, though love was still the Lord of all. Her sire gave brooch and jewel fine, where the sun shines fair on Clara. Her brother gave but a flask of wine, for her ire that love was Lord of all. For she had lands both meadow and lea, where the sun shines fair on Clara. For he swore her death ere he would see a Scottish knight, the Lord of all. That wine she had not tasted well. The sun shines fair on Clara, when dead in a true love's arms she fell, for love was still the Lord of all. He pierced her brother to the heart, where the sun shines fair on Clara. So perish our true love part, that love may still be Lord of all. And then he took the cross divine, where the sun shines fair on Clara, and died forsaken Palestine. So love was still the Lord of lovers that faithful prove, the sun shines fair on Clara. Pray for the souls who died for love shall still Lord.
in the never felt this strong. Our dreams are young and we both know they'll take us where we want to go. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. It's not so easy. I love to lead the way for us, like a guiding star. I'll be there for you if you should need me. You don't have to change a thing. I love just the way you are. So come with me and share the view. I'll help you see forever too. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you.
It's smaller than the diagram.
YouTube Music 可以使用 Google 助理来播放歌曲，试试 YouTube Music Premium。
smaller than the diagram. Smaller than the diagram.
Your inhibitor has been destroyed.
Upon the wind.
Bravo, mesdemoiselles. Camille Thomas, nommée cette année dans la catégorie Révélation soliste instrumentale. Et Béatrice Berru au piano. Bravo. Et merci.
YouTube Music 能让你发现还没听过的好歌，还能让你炫耀新发现。试试 YouTube Music Premium。
was an English lady the sun shines fair on Clara.Klarerweise, and she would marry a Scottish knight, for her love was still the Lord of all. Blithely they saw the rising sun, when he shone fair on Clara.Klarerweise. But nay was sad, her day was done, though love was still Lord. Her sire gave brooch and jewel fine, where the sun shines fair on Clara.Klarerweise. Her brother gave but a flask of wine, for her Irish love was more. For she had lands both meadow and green, where the sun shines fair on Clara.Klarerweise. For he swore for death ere he would see a Scottish knight born. She had not tasted the sun shines fair on Clara.Klarerweise. Wandered in a true love's arms she fell, for her love was still the Lord. He pierced her brother to the heart, where the sun shines fair on Clara.Klarerweise. So perish all her true love heart, that love may still be Lord. And then he took the cross divine, where the sun.
You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you.
双倍浓烈咖啡， Did you download
Sega?
Sonic's heading my way to hand me a beating. Caring would cut into my sulking time. My face. When I hurt your face, it'll make me smile. So in the end, I'll just be hurting myself. Cool.
想要零广告、下载音乐并离线播放及背景播放吗？试试 YouTube Music Premium。
日本兰诺新上市衣物抗菌芳香豆，洗后长效抗菌抗臭，雨天晾衣也有日晒般清新，日本热销第一。
This is Stephen's polyhedron, and it does something with 18 faces. This much simpler version with 14 faces was discovered by Klaus Stephen a year later, and this is the thing that Ivan printed for me. It's still not known whether a simpler flexible polyhedron exists. I wanted to show you a couple of related structures that are interesting. This polyhedron isn't flexible, but it's bistable, and the two stable states that it can be in are quite close to each other. And because this exists in the real world where infinitely rigid faces can't exist, we can actually flip between those two stable states, which is fun. This is a strange one. It's Jessen's octahedron. It isn't flexible in the same way as Stephen's polyhedron, but it is infinitesimally flexible. What does that mean? Well, if you think about a structure like this one, if this was perfectly rigid, then there would be no movement at all. But in the real world, these bars would be a little bit stretchy, which means that I can pull up on this joint. And if I were to plot the lengthening of this rod against the vertical motion of the joint, it would look like this. You can't move the joint without stretching the bar. But what about a structure like this? How does this bar lengthen as I pull up on this joint? Well, look, the curve flattens out as you approach zero movement. So at the very beginning, it's possible to move that joint without the bar lengthening at all. But then as soon as the joint does move, the bar will have to lengthen. In other words, the structure is only flexible in the limit of no flex. That kind of sounds like a mathematician's bad sleight of hand. But actually, it does make sense intuitively when you think about it in the real world. A structure like this is infinitesimally flexible, but because it exists in the real world, I can actually flex it. And it feels like it takes no force to do so until it has traveled some distance. Whereas with this structure, it feels like I can't move it at all. It's easy to make an infinitesimally flexible joint. You just take a straight rod and you put the joint in the middle of it. The formal way of saying that is if a joint is collinear with two other joints, then it will be infinitesimally flexible. Similarly, in 3 dimensions, a polyhedron will be infinitesimally flexible if one of the vertices is coplanar. But that's kind of obvious and boring, whereas Jessen's polyhedron is able to achieve infinitesimal flexibility without having to resort to coplanar vertices. I've got a bigger one here, and what's interesting is when I squeeze it, I can feel air coming out. And incredibly, that's actually proof that Jessen's polyhedron isn't a true flexible polyhedron in the same sense as Stefan's polyhedron. That's because Connolly proved that the volume of a flexible polyhedron doesn't change as the polyhedron flexes. It's called the bellows conjecture because a polyhedron cannot be used as bellows. By the way, if you replace all the concave edges with rods and all the convex edges with strings, you end up with this tensegrity structure. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I made a whole video about tensegrity structures, link to that in the card and the description. One final thought, when I was playing with the construction pieces, like with the best way to get these, sell them on to those other, and now .com/science. And
if you have ever stumbled onto one of those clickbait list articles with titles like World's Top 10 Smartest People, then you might have seen this name come up, William James Sidis. His name is often included in these lists alongside a claim that his IQ is between 250 and 300. For context, that is higher than any recorded result, and anything above 140 is considered genius. People like Stephen Hawking and Einstein are said to have IQs around 160. Now, from what I can tell, this claim about William Sidis's IQ seems highly dubious. In fact, I can't find any evidence that he ever took an IQ test. It was his sister who said that a psychologist had once measured his IQ to be between 250 and 300, but that might have come about from a misunderstanding or an exaggeration when William did write to his sister saying that he had just taken a civil service exam for which he scored 254th on the list of candidates. But he himself described that as not so encouraging. What is true about William Sidis is that he was very intelligent, and he was a child prodigy. The New York Times was reporting about him when he was 10 years old and had just passed the MIT entrance exam. It says that when he was 2, he could read and write, and when he was 4, he could speak 4 languages. What is also true about William Sidis is that he has a very interesting story, and I'll share that story in this video, as well as share some of the work that he left behind. He set the record for the youngest person to enroll at Harvard at age 11, and at age 12 he gave a lecture there on 4-dimensional bodies. William's father, Boris Sidis, was a psychiatrist, and his mother, Sarah, was a doctor. They had a lot of thoughts about developmental psychology and put a lot of effort into raising William to be a prodigy. They spent any spare money on books and learning tools for him and nurtured his hunger for knowledge. William Sidis was named after his dad's friend, William James, who was a philosopher and psychologist. It was Boris Sidis and William James who together came up with the idea that we only use 10% of our brains, and they tested this theory on young William. When William showed great talents in learning, it was seen as proof that most people only meet a fraction of their full mental potential. It was called the reserve energy theory, and Boris was trying to unlock his son's reserve energy. This 10% of the brain idea is largely considered a myth now, with Wikipedia saying that it rests in folklore, not science. and that brain mapping suggests that all areas of the brain have a function and that they are used nearly all of the time. But keep that reserve energy theory in your mind because it's important to this story in unexpected ways. Life as a child prodigy wasn't easy for William. He was constantly reported on and struggled to fit in with older students, both at school and university. After he graduated his degree, he told reporters that he wanted to live the perfect life, which to him meant living in seclusion. He abandoned further studies in maths and law, and even got arrested for participating in a political parade. After that incident, his parents tried to reform him, but he soon became estranged from them and went on to live a very independent and private life. He ended up suing the New Yorker for an article they published about him, calling him lonely and invading his privacy. The sentiment of that article, as well as many modern footnotes about him, seem to imply that despite his great early promise, he amounted to nothing, or that he suffered a complete mental breakdown due to being pushed too hard mentally as a child by his parents.
That faithful proof, the sun shines fair on Clara.One. Pray for the souls who died for love shall still be Lord of
清净化 eMovie。
牙龈不舒服好扫兴，亚洲式焕新配方，帮你对抗牙龈问题。
When you Google Lie theory, this picture comes up, which makes the theory look more difficult than it actually is. However, if you are familiar with complex numbers, then you have come across an example already. Focusing on these complex numbers with modulus 1, your knee-jerk reaction might be to think about these numbers as e to the I theta. But if you think a little bit more deeply, you are effectively imposing a coordinate system on this circle of complex numbers. So rather than saying, oh, this point, that point, we have a more systematic language to communicate. For example, we can say this point is e to the I times 0.7 pi, and this point is e to the I times 1.3 pi, and everyone knows where on the circle they are. This circle is an example of what's called a Lie group, which will be explained in a second. But in general, it can be much higher dimensional and much harder to visualize. The spirit of Lie theory is that even in these complicated cases, try to impose a coordinate system on it so that it is easier to handle. We won't go through the entirety of Lie's theory in one video, but still, let's spell the theory in slightly more detail, starting with what a Lie group actually is. A Lie group is simultaneously two things. It is a group, but also a manifold. Let's go through what a group is first, because it's an easier concept. Groups are basically a collection of objects that satisfy certain properties that make them look like symmetries. The first property that we expect symmetries to satisfy is closure. We can use the example of symmetries of a regular triangle. If we denote H as the reflectional symmetry along an oblique axis, and G as another reflectional symmetry along the vertical axis, then we define G dot H as a function composition. That is, we first do H, then do G. It turns out, if you want to verify, G composed with H is a rotation. The result isn't important. What's important is that the result is still a symmetry, so it is still in G. But for this axiom to hold, we need to show this for every pair of G and H. You can verify this case by case, but you can also note that symmetries are, by definition, any transformation that preserves the object, in this case, the triangle. So if G and H are symmetries, they preserve the object, then of course, doing H, then G also preserves the object, and hence also a symmetry. There are a few other properties that we expect symmetries to follow. This associativity property is relatively straightforward. On both sides, we are describing the transformation that does K first, then H, then G. So they are talking about the same transformations anyway. The next property is basically saying that there is one particular boring symmetry, the not doing anything symmetry, called the identity. This symmetry is so boring that if you have any other symmetry G, G.E or E.G are both G. That is, the identity has done literally nothing here. Finally, we expect all symmetries to have an inverse. So if G is a counterclockwise rotation, then the clockwise rotation H with the same angle would also be a symmetry. H is the inverse because
change my love for you. the days would all be empty. The nights would seem so long. With you I see forever oh so clearly. I might have been in love before, but it never felt this strong. Our dreams are young and we both know they'll take us where we want to go. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. If the road ahead is not so easy, our love will lead the way for us. Like a guiding star, I'll be there for you if you should need me. You don't have to change a thing. I love you just the way you are. So come with me and share the view. I'll help you see forever too. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you.
Bravo, mesdemoiselles. Camille Thomas, nommée cette année dans la catégorie Révélation soliste instrumentale. Et Béatrice Berru, au piano. Bravo et merci.
YouTube Music 能让你发现还没听过的好歌，还能让你炫耀新发现。试试 YouTube Music Premium。
shines fair on Clara, and she would marry your Scottish knight, for love will still be Lord of all. Blithely they saw the rising sun, when he shone fair on Clara. But they were sad, our day was done, though love was still the Lord of all. Her sire gave brooch and jewel fine, where the sun shines fair on Clara. Her brother gave but a flask of wine, for her ire that love was Lord of all. For she had lands both meadow and lea, where the sun shines fair on Clara. For he swore her death ere he would see a Scottish knight, the Lord of that wine she had not tasted well. The sun shines fair on Clara, when dead in a true love's arms she fell, for love was still the Lord of all. He pierced her brother to the heart, where the sun shines fair on Clara. So perish our true love part, that love may still be Lord of all. And then he took the cross divine, where the sun shines fair on Clara, and died forsaken Palestine. So love was still the Lord of lovers that faithful prove, the sun shines fair on Clara. Pray for the souls who died for love shall still be Lord of all.
If I had to live my life without you near me, the days would all be empty. The nights would seem so long. With you I see forever oh so clearly. I might have been in love before, but it never felt this strong. Our dreams are young and we both know they'll take us where we want to go. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. If the road ahead is not so easy, our love will lead the way for us. Like a guiding star, I'll be there for you if you should need me. You don't have to change a thing. I love you just the way you are. So come with me and share the view. I'll help you see forever too. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but
mademoiselle Camille Thomas, nommée cette année dans la catégorie Révélation soliste instrumentale, et Béatrice Berru au piano. Bravo et merci.
YouTube Music 是 YouTube 制作的音乐应用程式，让你探索从古至今的所有音乐类型，像是多名名家的 Dembo 旋律，其实正流行。试试 YouTube Music Premium， 马上免费试用1个月。
订阅 Music Premium， 从此零广告，儿歌也可以不受干扰循环播放了。试试 YouTube Music Premium。